Pause on the dog's face for a moment. What is going on in there? Is it confused? Concerned? Running a complex internal risk assessment about the structural integrity of glass? Or is it doing something else entirely? Something that, if we're being honest, looks a lot like the thing you do when your friend trips over a completely flat surface and you have to look away before they see you react. That moment, that tiny, unreadable moment, is what this entire video is about. Because here's the question nobody has properly answered. Not scientists, not philosophers, not the 12 people on the internet who are absolutely convinced their cat is judging them. Do animals laugh at us? And I don't mean metaphorically. I mean literally, neurologically actually. When you do something embarrassing in front of your pet, your local crow, your neighborhood squirrel, is something funny happening inside their brain? Let's find out. Before we can ask whether animals laugh at us, we need to settle something surprisingly tricky. What actually is laughter? Most people would say, laughter is the sound you make when something is funny. Simple, obvious, completely useless as a scientific definition. Because here is the problem. Laughter existed long before jokes did. Long before language, long before humans had anything resembling a sense of humor about themselves. Neuroscientists believe laughter started as a social signal, a sound that meant, this is safe, this is play, I am not actually attacking you. It was a way of saying, what just happened was surprising, and we survived it, and that's actually kind of great. Surprise plus safety equals laughter. Which means laughter isn't really about jokes at all. It's about the gap between what you expected to happen and what actually happened. And here's why that matters. If laughter is fundamentally about surprise, about something going unexpectedly wrong in a non-dangerous way, then you don't need language to experience it. You don't need a sophisticated theory of comedy. You just need to be the kind of creature that notices when something goes differently than expected. And animals, it turns out, are very good at noticing that. In 1997, neuroscientist Jaak Panksepp did something that sounds like the setup to a joke. He tickled a rat. What he found was not a punchline. When rats play, or when you tickle them in the right spot, they produce ultrasonic chirps at around 50 kilohertz, completely beyond human hearing. But when Panksepp slowed the recordings down, the pattern was unmistakable. It sounded like laughter. Same emotional circuitry, same neurological signature, just at a frequency we couldn't hear. But the giggling isn't even the most important part. The most important part is what the rat did next. It ran toward the hand that tickled it. Enthusiastically, repeatedly. The rats actively sought out the experience. They wanted more. Now ask yourself the question. What would happen if you tickled that rat and then pretended to fall off your chair? We don't have direct data on that. But we do know the rat is capable of experiencing something that functions like delight, that it responds to play, that its brain is wired on some level for the pleasure of unexpected things going right, or wonderfully, harmlessly wrong. Which means the gap between a rat and a laugh might be smaller than we assumed. The gap between us and a rat finding us funny? That's the question we're just getting started on. Chimpanzees are where this gets genuinely uncomfortable. Because chimps don't just play, they laugh, audibly, in specific situations, with what appears to be very deliberate social awareness. The sound is called a play pant, different acoustics from human laughter, but generated by the same ancient brain structures. And researchers noticed something important about when chimps produce it. Not randomly, not constantly, primarily when other chimps fail. Slipping, dropping food, bumbling a social interaction, misjudging a distance and landing in an undignified heap. The chimps who witnessed these failures laughed, and not just any chimps. predominantly the ones higher in the social pecking order, laughing at the ones below them, which means chimp laughter isn't just about surprise, it has a social dimension, a comedic architecture, an audience, and a punchline. Now here's the question. Chimps share 98.7% of our DNA. When a chimp sees a higher status individual fail, something in its brain registers that as funny. When that same chimp watches a human, a bumbling, flat surface tripping, chip bag exploding human, do those same circuits fire? Field researchers have observed chimps reacting to human mistakes with the play vocalization. Not always. Not scientifically conclusive. But sometimes. And sometimes is enough to make you think twice before eating in front of a chimpanzee. Crows play, not for food, not for survival, for fun. They've been filmed sliding down snowy rooftops, climbing back up, sliding down again, for no reason beyond what appears to be pure entertainment. They drop objects from height just to catch them mid-air. They steal things from each other as sport. But what makes crows relevant to our question isn't just that they play, it's that they prank. Ornithologists working with wild crow populations have documented something they describe carefully, academically, with the restraint of people who don't want to be laughed out of a conference room. Crows appear to initiate interactions with humans and other animals specifically to provoke a reaction, and then they respond to that reaction. They startle dogs and watch the dogs scramble. They swoop pedestrians and observe the chaos. They yank the tails of larger animals and immediately retreat to a safe distance, watching what happens next. Now, is that laughter? Is a crow capable of finding human surprise funny? What we can say is this: the crow understands cause and effect. It initiates a surprising event. It monitors the outcome, and it does it again. Repetition implies reward. Reward implies pleasure. Pleasure at watching something go unexpectedly wrong for someone else. That sounds like a familiar experience. Dolphins may be the clearest case we have. They play constantly and enthusiastically for its own sake. Riding bow waves, blowing bubble rings, inventing games with no apparent survival purpose. But what separates dolphins from most other animals is that their play has a target. They tease each other. Deliberately. Surgically. They steal objects mid-play and swim away, then turn around to check the reaction. They startle other dolphins and observe the response. They initiate interactions with humans specifically designed to cause a reaction. And, the detail that's hardest to explain away, they appear to find the reaction funny. Researchers at Shark Bay described it plainly. The dolphins monitored the effect of their actions on others and responded to that effect with what appeared to be heightened excitement. Heightened excitement at having surprised someone, at having caused exactly the kind of chaos they were aiming for. If you put that behavior in a human 10-year-old, you'd call it exactly what it is: a very satisfying prank. Cats are harder to read. That's the point. But research from Kyoto University established something important. Cats track what humans pay attention to, model cause and effect in their environment, and behave differently depending on whether they think they're being observed. That last detail matters. A cat that performs differently for an audience understands what an audience is, and a cat that understands audiences, that grasps the difference between being watched and not being watched, is a cat that is capable of sitting in judgment. Quietly. Without laughing. With the energy of a critic who doesn't need to tell you their opinion, because their opinion is already obvious. Your cat may not laugh, but your cat has absolutely noticed. So, do animals laugh at us? Here's the honest answer. Probably not the way we laugh at each other. Probably not with a full cognitive appreciation of irony, timing, and the existential comedy of watching a person walk into a glass door at full confidence. But rats experience something that functions like delight. Chimps laugh at failure and appear to recognize ours. Crows initiate pranks and monitor the reaction with obvious satisfaction. Dolphins tease with the enthusiasm of someone who has found their calling. Cats sit in silent, withering judgment of everything you do. The components are all there. The surprise, the recognition, the pleasure of something going unexpectedly, harmlessly wrong. So the next time you walk into a door, drop your phone, slip on a dry floor, or do something embarrassing in front of your pet, take a second. Look at them. Because there is a non-zero chance that somewhere inside that animal's brain, in whatever language evolution gave them for this feeling, something very close to laughter just happened. And honestly, fair enough. We kind of had that coming.